It's another Getting Real with Ashleydawn and
Mama Pocohantas.
And we're here to talk to you about... What are we here to talk about, Mom?
I don't know.
Do you have a topic?
Oh, I did have one last night that I said we should talk about.
Where is it at?
I gotta remember where it's at now. I forget now what it was.
Okay, well, I'll talk about a topic.
Okay.
So I was watching church this morning, and Pastor Josh was talking about Joseph. And Joseph is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. And for those that aren't familiar with it, it is a story about a young man who, as a child, gets these dreams and visions, and he sees things, and God shows him what those things mean. And as a child, I got dreams and visions, and so I always just felt like me and Joseph were like besties because we kind of went through the same thing. Well, he tells his dreams to his brothers, and they get super jealous of his dreams, and so they come up with this plan. They're sick and tired of him bragging about, how he's his dad's favorite, how he's God's favorite, how God gives him all these dreams, whatever. So they come up with this plan to get rid of him, throw him in a pit, and they end up selling him to slaves. And so the slaves take him to Egypt, and he becomes a slave in Egypt, and through that, he becomes a servant to Potiphar. And so he's in Potiphar's house. So Potiphar's wife says that and while he was in Potiphar's house, God blessed him, and God gave him favor, and God anointed him. And so Potiphar really gave him a lot for a slave. Normally slaves don't get treated that well, and so he put him over everything, and anything that Joseph did, he succeeded at, and he excelled at, because he had the favor of God, because God was helping him. And Potiphar saw that, and everyone around Joseph, other than his brothers, saw that. And you know what? His brothers might have seen it, but they might not have. It might have made them mad, because sometimes you see somebody, God's blessing somebody, and you feel like he's not blessing you, and so you get all, mad about it. Anyway, get jealous, envious. And so God gave Joseph all this favor. And so Potiphar's wife wanted some of that favor for herself and tried to come at Joseph. And Joseph was a man of God and resisted. Well, because he resisted, she came up with this big old lie that he raped her, he attacked her. And so Potiphar, at the time, when his wife said this, the law was to kill somebody that would do that. But out of God's favor, Potiphar allowed Joseph to live, but put him in prison. Well, while he was in prison, there were a baker and a cupbearer that were also in prison. And even the prison guard gave Joseph favor over all the other prisoners. Like, Joseph had favor wherever he went. No matter how bad his life got, God's favor was on his life. And no matter what happened, God was there with him always. God never left him. And so he's head over all the other inmates. And so the cupbearer and the baker are talking to him. Well, Joseph gets a dream, or they get dreams, and he interprets them. And so they leave. But before they leave, Joseph says, "Remember me." He's trying to work his way back into the palace. He's trying, and he said, tell Potiphar to, that I was wrongly accused, whatever. So he's trying to work his way out of where he is. But where he was exactly where he needed to be to get to where he needed to go. If his brothers wouldn't have thrown him in the pit, he never would have been in Egypt. If he was never in Egypt, he wouldn't have been in Potiphar's house. If he was never in Potiphar's house and Potiphar's wife didn't try doing that to him, he would have never went to prison. If he never went to prison, he would have never met the cupbearer and the baker. Why is this important? Well, because years and years and years go by, the baker and the cupbearer don't remember Joseph. They don't tell anybody about Joseph. But Pharaoh, a step above Potiphar, right? Potiphar was pretty high up in command, but Pharaoh was the highest of the high. So we're talking about ultimate promotion. And so Pharaoh has a dream, and the cupbearer or the baker, one of them dies and one of them lives. I forget which one. I think the baker lives and the cupbearer dies. Anyway, look it up. It's in Genesis. But so I think it's in Genesis. I don't know if it's in Genesis. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, look it up. It's a good story. And so somebody remembers Joseph. So Joseph goes to Pharaoh. He interprets Pharaoh's dream. Pharaoh puts Joseph in command. Track with me. If his brothers didn't do what they did, Joseph would have never went to Egypt. If Joseph never went to Egypt, he would have never been in Potiphar's house. If he was never in Potiphar's house, and Potiphar's wife wouldn't have done that and wrongly accused him and put him in prison, he would have never been in prison to meet the cupbearer and the baker. He would have never been able to meet Pharaoh. Every single trial, every single problem, every single God, why? Why is this happening? You gave me this vision. You told me I was going to be blessed. Why am I not being blessed? Why does my life look the way it is? Why am I in prison? Why am I being wrongly accused? Why is this happening to me? Why don't I have anything, right? A slave doesn't have anything. He's broke. He's indebted to the slave master. He's in debt. So he's like, God, why am I in debt? That's something I struggle with sometimes with all my medical debt. I'm like, God, why am I in debt? I'm serving you. I'm doing everything you called me to do. I'm teaching kids about Jesus every single day. Like, why am I in debt? I don't know why. But God does. And through it, he's teaching me something. And so in that, Joseph was positioned for a miracle. And he was positioned for his purpose. Maybe your life is sucking right now. Maybe you're in crummy situation after crummy situation after crummy situation, and you are frustrated, and you're like, God, why is this happening? I'm following you. I'm trying to do everything right, and I'm still not in a good situation. Like, where is the favor of the Lord? Where are my blessings at? Maybe, just maybe, the situation you're in is either a prison or a pit, and it's going to bring you to where God needs you to be. Maybe there's something in it that he's teaching you, that you have to be right here in this moment for what's to come next. Do not get frustrated at God. I know it's hard. Trust me, I get it. I've been there too. Do not get frustrated at God and be like, God, why? God, why? Instead, say, God, what? God, what are you teaching me in this situation? What are you teaching me in the pit? What are you teaching me in the prison? What are you teaching me in the palace? What are you teaching me? What are you teaching me? What do I need to learn? What character do I need to develop in myself so that when you put me in charge of something, I'll be able to steward it well? Think about it. If Joseph, when he was a little boy, would have become Pharaoh's, grand vizier and commanded everything, do you think he would have had the character to withstand that power? Do you think he would have had the character not to let the calling crush him? No. His character had to be built. Character is built in the hard moments of your life. Character is built when things happen that you don't want to happen. Character is built when nothing's going right and you're still choosing to trust God. That's when character is built. So don't for a second get mad at God and get frustrated and say, you know what, God, I'm not going to serve you anymore. Look at my life. What if Joseph would have stopped serving God in the pit? What if Joseph would have stopped serving God once he got to Egypt? What if he would have allowed his heart to be bitter and resentful, and he would have allowed anger and unforgiveness to completely derail him from his purpose? What if in prison he got mad and took matters into his own hands? What if he retaliated to, Potiphar's wife? What if he retaliated to one of the prisoners? What if he took matters into his own life instead of following God and trusting God?
Because he had faith, number one. And number two...
Yeah, but people have faith all day long and walk away from God.
Yeah, but it's in God's timing, not ours.
But it's a choice.
Right.
It's a choice. People choose to walk away from God. That's their free will. That's their choice.
Right.
But some of those people that choose to walk away from God are that close to their breakthrough. They're that close to their miracle. It's easy to say, oh, faith. Yeah, guess what? Sometimes life is hard and your faith is struggling.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, yeah, Joseph had faith, but don't you think his faith was struggling in that pit when he's all alone? I do. Don't you think his faith was struggling when he was in prison? I do.
Oh, yeah.
But he overcame. He overcame, and he said, you know what, God, I'm going to trust you in the hard times. I'm going to trust you in the moments that hurt. I'm going to trust you because I'm trusting that my purpose, those visions, those dreams that you've spoken to me are going to come to fruition in your perfect timing. If at any point during his journey he would have given up on God, if he would have walked away from God, if he would have turned his back on God, if he would have hardened his heart towards God, he wouldn't have fulfilled his purpose that God had for him. Maybe, just maybe, you're watching this video because God wants you to know that if you give up now, you are going to forfeit the calling on your life. You are going to forfeit every good thing that God has waiting for you. Do not give up on God. Do not let what has happened to you steal your focus or steal your love or steal your faith away from God. There is a purpose for every placement that is in your life. There is a purpose for the pit. There's a purpose for the prison. There's a purpose for the palace. Do not give up in the pit. Do not give up in the prison. And do not give up even in the palace. When things are going good, do not give up. God has you exactly where you need to be, even when you don't understand it. Maybe ask God, God, help me understand. Help me to hear from you clearly. Help me to trust you more. He will help you. But don't give up, because there is a purpose on your life. There is a calling on your life, and your trust in God matters. Keep trusting Him. Even when it doesn't look like your miracle's coming, keep trusting Him. Even when it doesn't seem like there's a way out of the situation you're in, keep trusting Him. I promise things will turn around if you keep trusting Him. I love you. More importantly, God loves you. You are seen, celebrated, and loved, and I'll catch you in the next one.